Welcome back. Today we're finally gonna keep on working with all of my projects here. My vacation is over and we're gonna do some progress here. And I just wanna give you some updates. I have been driving the Oldsmobile here for about 4 weeks. I've taken it to car shows, car cruises, and I took it to one of the biggest car events here in Sweden, which is 300 kilometers away from me. So 300 kilometers times 2, plus a lot of driving up there and sitting in traffic and everything, and it works great. With that, I gotta say that I had to do a last minute radiator change because it was getting hot. So now we have a big aluminum radiator in it, and I haven't had any problems since. So it's just driving perfectly and works really good, so I'm really happy with that. With that said, I am planning to put this up for sale. I don't think I'm gonna get it sold for what I want. I think I'm gonna list it for $15,000, the equivalent. And I think that it's worth it. It's, at least in Sweden, it's hard to find a 60s GM 2-door car with a fun engine that you can just drive home for $15,000. So I think it's worth it, but also Oldsmobiles aren't that sought after as a Chevy or something like that, or if it was a Chevelle, I would have gotten that money today. But since I'm an Oldsmobile, we're not getting that. But we'll see. If it gets sold, it gets sold. Otherwise, we'll see. I haven't really thought this through. But the other plan is in the fall here, I'm going to get another small block and an automatic transmission, put in this thing to keep the supercharged engine and put in an automatic to hopefully appeal to more buyers, because not a lot of people want a stick shift, and especially not a 303, which this have. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm gonna clean it off today, take out all my stuff and vacuum out the inside, take some nice pictures, put it up for sale, and as I said, if it gets sold, it gets sold. We'll see. But yeah, this has just been running fine. It has done what I bought it for, and I like it, but I don't love it. I like Chevelles more, and I'm a Chevy person, so I have other cars that I would rather have, and the money I have into the Oldsmobile could go a long way fixing other stuff. And the other stuff that I have planned on to work on right now is either I was going to work on the Chevelle or the El Camino. And the good thing with both of those is that I have basically everything I need, so we don't have to spend a lot of money to fix with them. I ordered basically everything for the Chevelle, and the El Camino, the frame and everything is already done. We only have to do a lot of rust repair, which both of them need. But I have decided that I'm going to be working on the El Camino. Don't really know why, but one thing that is good with getting the El Camino back on its feet is that this takes up a lot of space right now. We have the frame over there, we have the body here, we have a lot of stuff in the pallet rack and stuff like that. So it would be nice to get this thing up and running. And also, since we will be running this with a small diesel engine, this is going to be really cheap to drive, especially considered to everything else I have. So yeah, it would be a nice vehicle to have, save some money on gas and enjoy it. And I'm really looking forward to drive it. So that's the plan. So we're gonna get this thing into the garage. My first plan was to have it outside here, flip it up on its side and weld it. But for now, I think I want it into the garage, and we can work in there instead and fix the floor and all the body mounts and everything, so that we can get this thing on the body and then start assembling everything with the engine and front end and whatnot. So that's one part of the plan. And also we're gonna go ahead and take the Nova out of here, and we're gonna put that outside the garage, because I have decided that I am not gonna make this a keeper or something. I'm not really into the smaller cars, Novas and stuff like that. So my plan right now is I'm gonna go through with the plan I had in the beginning, and that is that we're gonna put this together, at least make it look like a car again, and we'll see how far we take it. But then I want to make a sort of trade up challenge, or what you want to call it. And we'll see if, I mean, Sweden is a small country and there's not super many people that would trade for a Nova. So maybe we have to sell it and then keep track of the money and then invest that into another car and then another car and another car, until eventually my goal is we're gonna achieve to buy a Dodge Challenger, which is my dream car, a 70 to 74 Challenger. So that's the plan. So we're gonna get that out of here, put it outside the garage and start making it into a roller, and then getting all the body parts on and make it into much of a car as we can. So that's the plan right now. So we're gonna have to get the Galaxy out of here, and then we can take those, and yeah, we'll see where we end up. Now we have both cars where we want them, and I am thinking here what we should do first, and I think that we're gonna start working on the Nova. And as I said, I don't want to make this into the biggest project. I want to make it look like a car again, so you can get some inspiration to work on it and make it look a little more fun than this case that it is right now. So we'll see. We have some issues here in the front end. Maybe we have to weld the last pieces, at least here. Maybe this we can do from the inside. So I was unsure if he had done this, because he was wanting to do, he's gonna do a fiberglass front end. So I'm not sure that's why he did it, but I'm guessing it's because of rust. So maybe we have to finish that so we can put on the front suspension stuff. Also want to get the rear suspension stuff on it to make it a roller, and then we can start making it look like a car again. And also we have to do some sort of rust protection. This rust was when I bought it, but obviously this has started to come now that it's been outside. No problem, but we have to do something. And I'm thinking maybe we should just do a coat, another coat of 2-component solid black, and just, I mean, it has been black, make it look a bit better. I'm not gonna do too much body work. There is a little bit of rust here, maybe some here, but it's not all that bad. So we're gonna see how much we do. Maybe get the glass fixed in its place and stuff like that. I want to make it so that it can sit outside without having a tarp over it, and make it look a little bit more presentable. So yeah, I think we're gonna start working with that. But also we have the El Camino in here, and obviously this has a lot of rust, mainly the body mount we have here on both sides, worse on the other side, and the floor is really bad. But I mean, this we can do from this angle, from the top side. But basically all the body mounts are bad, and it would obviously be easier to have this in a rotisserie. I had the rotisserie a few years back, but they take up so much space. We don't use them, and I have a limited amount of space, so I sold it. They're not that expensive. I can buy a new one for like 800 bucks or something, and I saw one for sale for 500 bucks recently. So either I buy one, I have asked my viewers here in Sweden if maybe they have one I can borrow or buy or something, just for this project, because I hope that I don't have to do this to every car, so I don't need a rotisserie all the time. So we'll see. Maybe we buy one, or maybe we just do this on the floor like everyone else. But I'm gonna let this sit and dry here, and my goal here for today, we'll see what we can accomplish, but I would like to get the wheels on the Nova so that we can put it down on the ground and get the jack stands, so then can use the jack stands on the El Camino. I have more jack stands, so that's not a problem. It's just a goal I have. So we'll see. So we're gonna start getting some stuff for this, the rear axle, the front suspension and all of that, and see what we can get together. And here we have some parts to work with. We are going to put back the original rear axle, which unfortunately is 4-lug. Since this is the first model year of the Nova, they only came with 4-lug wheels. And I have gotten some stuff to make it 5-lug in the front, but I haven't found another rear axle. So for now it's going to be 4-lug in the rear and hopefully 5-lug in the front, so that we can have some nicer wheels on the front, and then we can see what we can do with the rear if we get that far. I've heard that the S10 rear axles should fit here pretty well, or we can just get a later model Nova axle, which is 5-lug, but we'll see. With that, we have to get the rear leaf springs in place, and this is the smallest leaf springs I've ever seen, I think. And we have some brackets still here, and we have the rest of the brackets here in the car. So the rear shouldn't be a problem, but here in the front I'm not really sure how this has been together, because I mean obviously they're supposed to be here, but there's a huge hole here, and I'm not sure how that is supposed to get together. I'm gonna Google some, but also the car is full of parts, so I'm gonna go ahead and remove the doors. They are just here with the ratchet strap, so I can scramble through it and see if I can find something that looks to be what we need. So yeah, gonna see if I can find some stuff and start bolting that on. And obviously I'm starting in the rear because that should be the easiest, and so that we feel that we're getting some progress. Other than that, we have to get these inner fenders, which contain all of the suspension mounting points, here in place. Obviously they're gonna be bolted to here, and we have some holes here that is supposed to be bolted to also. And obviously we have to paint this a little bit before we do that. We'll see if we can bolt them on before fixing that, or whichever route we decide to go. But yeah, see if we can get the front suspension on today also, but we're gonna start with the rear. After some digging, you can see I've removed a lot of stuff here. We have found what I really believe that we are looking for. I don't think that these can go anywhere else, so that's great. But something I realized with this thing, I have boxes and boxes of bolts, and I mean the dash is completely stripped. We only got the cigarette lighter, everything is all cleaned out in the quarters, in the doors. There's basically not a single bolt left on this car. And this is not criticism to the guy that I bought it from, but it's really easy to remove bolts. And then when you just have a basket case of a car with not a single part on it, it's really easy to get discouraged and lose motivation in a project. And that's why something I always say, that focus on one thing at a time. And that's my motto when I do projects at the moment. Get it running and driving, fix the brakes, make it usable, enjoy it, and then you can take one corner or one thing at a time. You can restore the dash and then put it together. You can fix the rust in the quarter and then drive it at the same time. But when you take it down to this level, it's really easy to get discouraged and lose motivation. But also, this guy that took this apart 16 years ago wanted to build a race car, so obviously he didn't need a lot of the stuff that he has removed. But yeah, that's at least how I try to do my projects. But now we're here and we have to put it back together. But also, this chaos that is in the car is my own doing. As I said, he took this apart 16 years ago and put everything to the side, and then he just shoved boxes at me, and I just threw everything in the car to get everything home. So I'm not sure what we have double and what we are missing and whatnot. And I realized we have the bolts, but we don't have the U-bolts for the axle, which goes with these. So we have to do some more digging and see if we can find those, but at least now we can get the leaf springs in place. Axle is in place. It's not bolted in, but the leaf springs are all bolted in. Unfortunately, I can't find any U-bolts inside the car or anything, and I'm pretty sure that they have been cut or something when he removed the rear axle 16 years ago, because I have removed a lot of truck axles, front and rear, and it's very rare for the U-bolts to be in good enough shape so that you can remove them and reuse them here in Sweden. So I'm really sure that they have been cut and removed, or otherwise I can't find them, or they have gone missing or whatever. We don't have a set. And with that said, as I said, I only have larger U-bolts. This has a really thin axle tubes, and obviously I have truck stuff which has a lot bigger axle tubes, so I don't really have any U-bolts, proper U-bolts that fit. But I have these, which obviously is just some old thread rod that someone has bent. I can't remember if I have made these or where they're from, but this is not the correct way to do it. It's gonna be perfectly fine for this as of now, and I mean you could drive with it, but proper U-bolts are more harder steel and obviously a lot better. But I don't think I can bend the ones I have into shape, so these are a lot softer, that we can make the arc a little bit smaller so that it will fit around these axle tubes, because now it's like this and it won't fit the holes. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get this in place, and with that we can bolt on the wheels and technically put the rear back down on the ground, but I'm not gonna do that until we're done in the front. And since I think most of you live pretty far away, this that I'm telling you now won't be that much for you, but I have told my Swedish viewer that from this moment on, this thing will be for sale, or I'm interested in trading it. But as I said, the Nova, not really my style, at least this model year. I think they're cool, but it's not really something I've ever wanted to have. I like the newer Novas a lot more. And I think it would be really fun to do this sort of trade up thing. So as I said, I have offered it up to my viewers. If anyone wants to trade something for it or shoot me an offer, they're welcome to do that. So we'll see. Maybe we can sell it tomorrow, or we'll sell it in 2 months. We'll see. I'm not really, I mean, I want to obviously do a lot of stuff to it before I list it, but I can sell it at any moment if anyone is interested. So we'll see what will happen. But I think it's going to be something fun, and then we can take however much money we get to it or for it, or if we trade it and do the next thing. But yeah, anyway, that's where we're at the moment. I'm gonna go ahead, fix the U-bolts, put in those so that we're done in the rear. Then we can start looking at the front. I put this side together, but it just felt that something was off, because I had to lift the brake line to get the U-bolts in here between, because otherwise I would have squished the brake line, which I didn't want to, but I guess that they had a different shape. But it just felt off, and then I was supposed to do the same thing on this side, and then I realized that there is a washer here, which when I saw that, I realized that there is just supposed to be bolts like this holding this together. So that's the way we're gonna do it. Gonna take that apart again and put it with bolts instead. And also you can see here we have a rubber shim or a bushing on both sides of the leaf spring. On this side I'm missing both, so this side is gonna rattle, but for making it a roller it's not gonna be an issue. And I mean, either way you go with this car, you're gonna change this thing out. It's even if you wanted to run the 4-lug, these are weak. You want a 5-lug, a 10-bolt. So I don't think that this is ever going to see the road again, but I don't know. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead, take that apart and do that this way on both sides. Now we have the rear axle properly in place, all bolted down. We still don't have these rubber isolator shims or whatever, but it's actually in there now. It's got a little more clamping force with the proper mounting hardware. So yeah, it's not going anywhere. And as I said, I don't think that this car at least will ever see the road with that rear axle, because whatever you want to do, you want 5-lug to have the ability to find some wheels. I have 3 wheels for this thing, one is missing. And I mean, it's a hard lug pattern to find. You can't find any nice wheels. I mean, I have the original hubcaps for it, but at least in my opinion, original Novas are pretty boring. So we'll see. But I don't think that rear axle is ever going to see the road again on this car, maybe on something else. I don't know. But for now, that's good. We're going to air up the tires, but they were so damp, so I wanted them to dry a little bit in the sun before I put them on. So now we're going to start looking at these, and I'm just going to bolt them up here, even though we have some work to do. And that might be stupid, but this is, as I was talking about earlier, if you feel that a project is too big and you don't really feel the motivation, it's a lot easier to, I mean, I want to find the motivation and put on all of this stuff, and I think that we can repair what we need to repair with these on, but I would rather put it together, making it look like a car and get motivation and inspiration, and then I can just remove the front fender, fix that, and put the fender back on and be done with it. So that's my reasoning at least. And also he has already repaired the main points that we are attaching these to, so I'm gonna hit this with some primer paint here. Unfortunately, that's red. My black paint is out, so I think we can, that thing dries really fast, so we can put on some red, then we can just take some Radical black so that we have black behind this, because later on you obviously want to paint the firewall, but we can do that with the inner fenders on. So that's the plan. And also I want to pressure wash these so it's a little bit nicer to work with. But first of all, we have to paint some protective paint here so we don't have to remove these again, because I don't think we will ever do that. And now we have some primer and also some Radical black. I only wanted to put the black, I mean, where I believe that this line would go, so that we would have some black paint behind it. Other than that, I painted as much red as I could where I thought that everything was finished. On this side you can see that he has removed this outer lip edge, so I guess that when we get that far we will remove this on this side also, and then we can paint everything and that will be done. And I don't think that, I mean, this edge here goes to here somewhere, so I don't think that that will be in the way when we're gonna do that. So I'm gonna let this dry for a little bit, then we can put those on. And I went ahead and aired up the tires, but unfortunately this one just leaked out, and you can see how dry rotted it is. But I think the last wheel is holding air, but the tire wasn't matching. Those two were matching, but I mean, who cares? So we can put those on, and later on I also want to do some pressure washing to clean off these a little bit. But I thought that I can put this on and then we can do the pressure washing the last thing we do, because it will become all moist here and I don't want to work in the mud. And then tomorrow it will have dried up and we can continue working. So yeah, I'm gonna find the last wheel and let this dry for a little bit more, and then we can put these on. Here we have the front inner fenders, front suspension arrangement. I'm not sure what to call these, and I don't know if there's another car that does it like the Nova does. I mean, Mopars are basically built the same, but in that case these pieces are welded to the rest of the body, including the core support. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty good to be able to remove it so that you can work easier, but yeah, it just feels weird since I haven't encountered it on any other models. So we have this in place, and I thought that I figured something out here, because I looked at this and then I was like, yeah, this is where this piece goes. And I thought that this thing were supposed to be there, because it looks like we have two transmission cross members, which we obviously shouldn't have, but this is definitely the transmission cross member. But that thing is not going on here. And I think I've said this before, but I have never had or worked on a 62 Nova, so everything of this is new to me, besides it being a Chevy. I mean, Chevy has some design elements that goes through, but obviously with the front suspension this isn't really like any other Chevy. So I'm trying to figure this out for the first time. So I think that obviously something has been bolted there, but I'm not sure if it's just the core support or if there's something else that goes there. But I really would like to get the front suspension on so that we can put it on wheels, put it down on the ground. It would also be really nice to put on the door and the fender on this side and take a cool thumbnail picture for it. So that will be my goal, as we see if we can accomplish that. But I want to put on the front suspension, but I'm not sure. I mean, we have no support holding this together, so I'm gonna get the core support, see if that ties into this, or if there's another piece in the car or missing that is supposed to go there. And after that we can start looking at front suspension. I found the core support and realized that this connects everything. It has this thick piece here on the bottom that connects through these holes and also up here and down there. And I mean, the only thing I have when I'm putting this together is this. I mean, I have more bolts, but this is basically all the bolts that holds the car together, and it's hard to know what goes where. But I found 6 of these bolts, and it has these thorns or studs or whatever you want to call them on the inside of the washer, so I knew that they would go here. And then we can look here, we have markings like that, and we have a washer like that, so we know that a bolt is like this is supposed to go here. Down here, I can show on this side, we have this star pattern, and I found these with this star washer for some reason, so we know that these go here. So it's so far pretty easy to find where all of the bolts go. But I mean, it's not that big of a deal if we put something wrong. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead, try to put as much of these bolts in to mostly get it as strong as possible. But also it's really nice to get pieces onto the Nova, because that's partially because I wanted to work on the Nova and the Camino, because both of those cars are so blown apart that they basically take up 2 car spaces. The Nova has all of its loose parts, the Camino has its frame and all of the loose parts, so putting these 2 together basically frees up so much space, like 2 other car spaces. So that's partly the reason I wanted to work on them. But also I want to feel I'm getting some progress on the Nova and getting it into the next project. But anyway, I'm gonna bolt this all together, and then we can start looking at front suspension. Here we have the core support all bolted in, so now we don't have to be worried about the front section flexing when we're putting it down on the ground. So now we can start looking at the front suspension, and here we have our new 5-lug stuff, so that we can convert it to 5-lug now that we're at this point anyway. So on this side we won't have any big issues, and I've done some research, and from what my understanding, it's only the spindle and everything outwards that is different, which means that we can reuse our lower control arm. We only have to remove the lower control arm there, and then we can just put it on here and have being able to put on wheels. Unfortunately on this side, the stuff I bought was missing the spindle nut and the outer bearing, and maybe we can use the bearing from the old 4-lug stuff, but I believe since it's another spindle, it probably uses other bearings. It might be only the inner bearing that is different, but I guess we'll find that out. Maybe I have some used bearings that will fit that we can use. We'll find out. But yeah, now we can start putting all of this on, and then we can get to the steering stuff, which is a bit weird with this. I know that the older Chevys had like this, but I don't have much experience with it. But you can see this whole steering shaft is one part all the way from the steering box all the way up to the steering wheel, which means that you basically have to put that on from the underside and put on the steering column at the same time, and it's a mess. It won't be that much of a deal for us since we don't have an engine and an interior, but if you were just going to remove the steering box, it's a pain in the ass in these cars from what I know. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and just start bolting out stuff and see if we maybe can get some wheels on the front end here today. Now we have some front suspension on the right side. Obviously we need to connect the steering and whatnot, and also this has this really strange setup where the spring is on top of the upper control arm. I have springs and I have everything, but for now I don't have time to put them on today, and also it's gonna look like a gasser, which I don't want, so we can put some wooden planks in there to set the ride height for now, so that it looks cool, and then we're gonna keep on working with this, obviously, with the steering and all of that. So that side is done, and on this side we have everything together, basically the same, except that, as I said, we're missing the outer bearing and we're missing the nut. So I took this apart, and the bearing here is way too small, unfortunately, but we can use the nut and the washer. So we needed a bearing. So I hate borrowing stuff from other cars, but sometimes you have to. I thought that we could borrow from 69 Chevelle, but that thing is running and driving, so I don't want to rob from that. So instead I robbed from my 64 Chevelle over there, and since that's basically the same year as the drums and everything we're putting on right now, so I took that bearing, and I have that sitting here, and that works just fine. And obviously this looks like crap, but for now it will at least be rollable. And I mean, maybe the next owner, definitely not me, maybe buys a disc brake conversion kit with new spindles, bearings, all the brake stuff, new brake booster and so on, and then all of this will be unnecessary anyway. So we'll see, maybe we get back to this, but for now it's at least going to be rollable. It feels bad to rob parts of my 64, but unfortunately there's going to be a while until I can do something with that, even though I really want to. But yeah, also I have a disc brake kit, an original disc brake stuff for the Chevelle that I was planning on putting on that anyway, so I don't really need that bearing, and I have more stuff. But yeah, now we can just put all this together, put on some wheels and putting it down on the ground for the first time in 16 years. And here we have it together with bearing and everything, and it spins. And I mean, of course, it needs to be greased and gone through. But if, and that's a big if, I get to the point where I have an engine in this thing and we need to do brakes, I am obviously going to take all of this apart and buy new bearings and all the brakes and all that stuff. So it needs to be torn apart again sometime. But for now, at least, we have wheels on the car, which was our main goal here today. So now I want to go ahead, lift it up, put it down on the ground, and for fun, I just want to put on the door, put on the fender, and take a cool picture and just look at it and see, just having it looking like a car again. So that's our new goal. And there we have it, down on the ground for the first time on its own wheels for the last 16 years, which I mean, it's not super long time, but it is quite amount of time. Unfortunately, it's the 4-lug in the rear. I have the matching set of Kragers that we could put in the rear, but yeah, that's what it is. Maybe we can find a set of another rear axle here in the future. But yeah, just feels really good having this thing on the ground. Obviously, we have a lot of work with the front suspension left to do. But for now, I just want to get the door on. Thankfully, that door has the door hinges on it. I just have to find the rest of these bolts. And then we can just hang on the door, hang the fender, and take a cool picture, get some inspiration, and see how we go forward from there. Now it really starts to look like something. Just bolting on some stuff, and all of a sudden, it's a car. I just removed the hood and put it on there. It's not bolted in with anything. The fender has 3 bolts. The door has 4 bolts because we're gonna find them all. So yeah, but I mean, we have taken this from you don't have to agree with me, but from a basket case mega project to something that actually looks like a car that you would like to work on. Obviously, we have to do the same thing to the other side, but you get my point. And yeah, I think it looks really cool. But I really need to do something yesterday, and it's a bit unnecessary, but I really need to put a coat of paint on that rear quarter just to see it all black, how it could potentially look. So I'm gonna do that, and then we're gonna call today. This is gonna look like crap because I didn't have as much gloss black as I thought. So we have a half gloss mix with the gloss black, and you can see it's very thin. But anyway, we have some sort of rust protection, which obviously isn't bad. Maybe we should do this to the whole car while we think about what we want to do to the rest of the body. But it looks a lot better now that it's all black. But there is something about these that I have a hard time with, and now that it's so high, it's amplified, but I think the body line is too wide compared to the roof. It feels like they have sectioned the roof and lowered it, which I'm not a fan of. But if you get some more glass in it, it would obviously look better. But I was hoping, now that I put some more stuff onto this thing and making it look like a car, that I would not necessarily fall in love with it, but start liking it more. But I just gotta say, I'm not super big into Novas overall, but especially the first generation isn't really my sort of car. I like the second generation, and what would it be like the third or fourth generation, which is a pretty ugly car, but I don't know why. I love them, or I like them more than this generation. But I mean, there's a car for everyone, and this is just not the one for me. But I'm really happy with the progress that we have made here today. It looks like a car. It feels more of a good project. And obviously we have a lot more work to do, but we can continue with that tomorrow if the weather allows. I would have liked to pressure wash it. It's really dusty. I was planning to wash the Oldsmobile and get an ad out on that thing, but yeah, we don't have time for everything. But I'm really happy with our results. Anyway, we can wash these tomorrow, and if it's bad weather, we can start working on El Camino. Now we at least have the jack stands free, which was one of our goals. But I guess we'll see you tomorrow what we'll be working with. But I really hope you enjoyed the video, and yeah, I'll see you tomorrow.